to set up. The next talk is a report on the data grid project. People will perhaps know this is a major EU-funded grid project. It's going to be given by Frank Benacchio, who is the manager of the networking work package, but he will in fact be describing rather more than that. And I think we can say the data grid recently was well reviewed by the EU. It's its second annual review, and everyone's very happy about that.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Frank Benacchio from CNRS, and I'm going to report the work achieved so far by the European Data Grid project. The project started more than 2 years ago now, and it will end at the end of this year. So, the outline. My presentation won't be a close technical presentation, but more a general status of the project, what have been achieved so far, and what we are going to do during this last year. So first I will give you a general project status in general with few numbers and assets. What are the various testbeds we have deployed across Europe? What are our quality and validation procedure in order to achieve a stable and scalable solution? And then I will focus more on networking activities that has been achieved, like in specific monitoring architecture deployed, and then activities on transport and service like high-speed transfer, quality of service, and something specific we deploy, which is the network cost function. So first, few numbers. So Data Grid is certainly currently the largest grid project in Europe. First, in terms of funding, we have nearly 300 man-years funded for this project, and we have 12 different virtual organizations from different scientific communities and 16 certificate authorities that make the authentication of all these communities. And now we have more than 300.5 registered users that are using this grid on a day-to-day basis. For the application part, we have 3 fields of users. The first one and the biggest one is high-energy physics, with the CERN, of course, that will plan to use the Data Grid testbed, and that is using and testing the software through their own project, which is called LCG project. And then we have lots of applications from bioinformatics, like genomic application, and also medical imaging applications. And also we have several applications from Earth Observation Institute, like mainly ESA, European Space Agency. Okay. So the current project status, EDG provides a set of middleware services based on external products, like we are using Globus, we are using Condor, and various of suites in grid technologies. And we have developed inside the Data Grid specific services for job and data management, like a specific resource broker to distribute and schedule all the jobs on the various testbeds. We have deployed also and developed a specific grid and network monitoring architecture. And we are using Globus, but we are also developing specific services in the security for authentication and authorization issues, which is one of the biggest issues certainly in the grid system. And also we provide specific service for fabric management of the farm of cluster that we are using behind. So the current release is EDG 1.4.x, whatever. This is deployed on more than 15 sites for the application testbed, and the core site for this application testbed is CERN, RAL in UK, NICEF in Netherlands, CNAF in Italy, and Computer Center of IN2P3 in Lyon, in France. But EDG software is also deployed on more than 40 sites now via DataGrid, but also via Progrid project, DataTag, and some national grid initiative too. So now the assets. So the the application testbed is available throughout the years, and this has been continuously used for several months and even years now by all our users and all the community that are involved in the project. We are providing innovative middleware specifically for the resource broker, but also in the data management field, because DataGrid is somehow data-oriented and not only a computational grid. And so we provide a replica location service, which is joint development with Globus team, in order to manage all the replica of the file and give a logical view of the file without knowing anything about physical location for end users. We are also developing and installing AirGMA software, which is a dedicated grid monitoring architecture and system developed by IBM and DataGrid, and which is using and which represent the grid information system like a fully decentralized database. Okay. So the list of testbeds. We are mainly 4 testbeds. In fact, we have the first one, I already told, the application testbed that is set up for end users, which run a stable software with certified release. Then for certification process, we have a dedicated one, which is shared with the ILCG project from CERN. And from this testbed is used to test release candidate for deployment on the application testbed. We have also a development testbed for the integration and evaluation of software that are provided by the various work packages that are developing software in DataGrid. And we have also lots of small development testbeds in all work packages for their own internal usage and test. So this is a table of the resources that are online in the application testbed now. So we have more than 1,000 CPU online and nearly 15 terabytes of data available online, and which is working night and day. And behind that, we have all the hidden infrastructure with the Globus MDS hierarchy for the information system, with various resource brokers that are spread over different sites in Europe, user interfaces, virtual organization replica catalogs, virtual organization membership server for authorizations, etc. During the first year of the project, the focus was on the quality of the deliverable for the EU, of course, and the procedure and document management, and on the development of a software infrastructure, and putting all the tools that we need in order to manage this large development project across Europe, with a central repository for all the sources, bug reporting and tracking tools, and standard usage for development. On the second year, there is a refocus on the quality of the software production in order to offer a more stable release deployed on the application testbed. And this is supported by the project quality statement. On the last year, we will focus more on the global provisioning of quality of service in a large term, not only network, but in a grid term, to offer more performances and stability of the system. So I won't enter in the detail of this slide to show you the test and validation process we have set up in order to achieve more and more stable release and more quality on the software which is deployed on the various testbed. So we have all these various testbeds with specific testbed in work package in order to do unit tests, and then there is build system that builds all software each night from a central repository, and then the first development testbed to do the integration of the various middleware developed by all the groups, and at least certification testbed to do the final test suite and certify the software in order to deploy it on the production environment. So this has few statistics about the jobs that are run so far on the testbed. So we have now nearly 50,000 jobs that has run, and more or less the same time in CPU hours consumed. So a general status summary of this first part. We have successfully deployed middleware for usage by real application, and we have deployed lots of periodic release in order to do bug correction and offer good support to the internal user. And now the testbed is available throughout the year. An important point and a key point for the success of this kind of project is to have applications which are heavily involved since the start of the project inside the whole project in order to keep and to stick to the needs of the end user each time we try to redeploy new solution or to offer new functionalities in this grid environment. And we have also lots of international network support, and for that we have a good and strong technical collaboration with Dante and on the Giant network in order to achieve good performances in the application testbed across Europe. And many links has been also upgraded in various NRAN in order to give more throughput to the specific testbed site deployed in DataGrid. So of course all the software is open source. We have an open source license, and we have a high level of coordination with all related grid projects in Europe. We are working closely with DataTag, you have seen this morning, and also with Progrid that is largely reusing our software, developing other pieces on the top. Of course, we have very strong collaboration with the CERN project LCG, and also with Nordic Grid project. So, for the last year, we are currently integrating the release 2 of the software, which will offer more functionality for end user, specifically and especially in data management. And we want to also improve, again, our testing and verification system to go to more and more stability in the global system and in the global process, in fact. So we also plan to have more and more HEP, high energy physics experiments, and other community applications that will run their software and run their application upon the grid, and to extend the cooperation and coordination with all this grid community and various grid projects. We also want to explore the migration path for our software to the new open grid service architecture, which is proposed now by the Globus team in beta release. And again, continued dissemination activities throughout the years. Okay, so this is the second part. I will focus now more on networking activities. The network work package has 4 tasks. The first one is provisioning of the infrastructure for the testbed, of course, and then we have a specific task for network and transport services for grid. Another for the network and grid traffic monitoring, and at the end, a full task on grid security. So for network monitoring, we have set up, designed, and deployed a specific network monitoring architecture, which is based on a standard tool to measure standard network metrics like round-trip time, TCP throughput, UDP throughput, inter-packet delay variation, etc. And we have deploy some wrapper on top of this tool in order to achieve a standard measurement method and scheduling between all the sites. we are also collecting information from grid FTP transfer between all the sites in order to do the correlation between the network metrics we are measuring and the real transfer done by the applications. And all this information are collected and collapsed into a central archive which store all the network metrics and grid FTP logging. And from that we are able to build high-level function like network cost. I will speak a bit of that after, which is used by replica manager and resource broker, and also to give to network and system administrator various visualization tools in order to debug or improve or do network capacity planning. So, for example, on the visualization layer, we have deployed a first tool which is Lab Center, which shows the live status of the grid on the various sites and which is monitoring all the service running on all the system and give you a nice map or nice logical view of the grid and what is running on. Then we have another tool which is more network oriented, which is called Progrid. This is based on regular trace routes between all the sites, and from all these trace routes we are building automatically views of all the network that has crossed. This is really nice to see online. The green box are all the routers that are crossed between all the testbeds. And finally, we have some tool to represent matrix view of the metrics that we are providing in order to do comparison easily between all the sites that are crossed. For transport and service activity, we have a close collaboration with Dante in order to do various tests on high throughput transfer capability and using parallel stream, but also new TCP stack like high-speed and scalable. And of course, for this activity, we are closely working with the data tag project in order to do various measurements and to share all the results. And we are also testing less than best effort on IP premium on the giant backbone in order to see what are the benefits that can be achieved and what it can offer to the end users. An important functionality is this network cost function we are providing for resource broker. This is a function that is called by resource broker or replica manager each time you want to start a job in order to find the lowest cost in terms of network place where to start a job or where to replicate a file. So this function is called each time you want to start a job in order to find the best place in terms of network, but the global scheduling system is also using CPU usage, memory usage, mass storage system time, and etc. in order to achieve a global scheduling. So the network cost function is based on a regular TCP throughput measurement that is done by our network monitoring architecture, and we plan to have more functionality and more precision using other metrics in order to compute this network cost function. So for the work package, for the network work package, we have follow-up network infrastructure evolution like Giant and RAN. For example, Giant has been deployed during the life of the data grid project. We have you see a close technical collaboration with Dante for test and prove network quality of service benefits for end user and achieve high throughput transfer between AGG sites. And we have deployed the network monitoring infrastructure on all the application testbed. For the end of the year, we plan to deploy more central network archive in order to store all the metrics and to enhance our network cost function in order to provide more and more accurate results. And of course, we'll continue our close collaboration with Dante on network quality of service, and we plan to have another test campaign installing PC inside the GN POP in September in order to test more less than best effort and IP premium capability and benefits for grid applications. Okay, that's more or less all what I want to say. Just to finish, DataGrid is ending at the end of this year, and all the DataGrid Institute and member have replied to the 6th framework call inside the EG response, and hopefully if EG wins, we will all work in this project in order to offer a large-scale grid infrastructure in Europe.
Thank you very much, Frank. So, any questions for Frank? Okay. We're going to do well on this session. We'll get coffee early. Well, thank you again, Frank, and we'll move to the final speaker. So, the final speaker